Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. It's the Friday Q&A session where I get to answer your questions. You guys can put all your questions in the live chat. I usually start off on social media and check any questions that have been asked on the social media platforms first before I hit the questions in the comment section on the live chat. So this is generally a show where we just talk about multiple topics and different types of topics according to you guys, and you guys get an opportunity to dictate the conversation on this particular show. That's what the show is about. That's what it's here for. It's for you guys to steer the conversation and try to get all the questions that you have answered on today's show. But before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you please to do. First and foremost, the most important thing is for you guys to please subscribe to the magazine. Every single issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month, and the link is on the screen as well as in the description for you guys to be able to go there. As you can see, it's cricketfanaticsmag.com/monthly-magazine, so that you guys can know the whole URL so that you can go to it and download it. The latest issue is an interesting one. We did a season review of the South African cricket summer, and we spoke to various different people that were important and integral to the summer. And that's what the show was about. So go ahead and download the latest issue. It's very important that you guys go ahead and do so. And also, you'll get emails to you'll get an email update when the new edition is out. We are busy with it currently. At the end of this month or in a couple of days' time, we will be launching this particular issue. A very interesting one again. We'll be covering the CSA Awards experience. We'll also be covering the SA tour and getting some interesting insights from the coach and from various other people in the channel as well, in the chat, in the magazine as well, to give you guys some perspective of that. So that's a very important that you guys do that, of course. So go ahead, it's 100% free, as I said before. But then what I'd also like you guys to please do is also smash that like button, comment, and share. That's how we get into recommended feeds on YouTube, and we can perhaps get trending on YouTube for cricket or in sport. So please go ahead and try to help us get there. And also, what I need you guys to please do, we are so close to 4,000 subscribers. Let's get to 4,000 subscribers. Help me get there. Very important that you guys help me there. I need you guys to obviously. Oops, wrong button. So go ahead and go and click that subscribe button. That is basically the YouTube telling me that I need to start this show. So go ahead, let's get into this. I'm looking forward to chatting with you guys. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your Q&A session. So let's get into this right now. The Q&A sessions are here on a Friday. Usually I do this on a Friday if we don't have interviews lined up or there isn't very big news that we can talk about. So that's what the Q&A sessions are for. So this is an opportunity for you guys to ask me questions in the live chat, and I'll try my best to answer them as best as possible. But we usually start on Instagram so that you guys can start to think about your questions first, and then I'll start answering the live chat and whatever you guys put in the live chat. First and foremost, I just want to talk a little bit about the Ashes as well. I am in a situation where it's two teams that I don't like, but out of the two teams, I would rather want England to win than Australia. I'm not a big Australia fan, as you guys know in this channel, but the Ashes is interesting. Australia currently trail by 178 runs. They scored 317 in the first innings, and England's reply was 592. It was a magnificent batting performance from England in this particular Ashes series. This is a little bit more dominant than the others. The others were a lot closer. But we had a massive Zach Crawley 189 that was really he was the star of the show, and then a 99 not out by Bairstow, which obviously also was a big one. It's unfortunate that nobody could stick around with Johnny till he can get his 100. But they lost wickets quite quickly at the end. But there was also some meaningful contributions from Moeen Ali, someone that some people may have not liked his selection in the team, and he also batted at three. But some might not have liked his selection in the team, but he got the nod and he got that 54. And then we had Harry Brooks 61, and we had Ben Stokes with another good performance of 51. But England's currently on top, of course. They just lost Smith before I went live, so they are in a difficult position currently to try and chase down that deficit. So the Ashes is turning into an interesting clash, but it will level the series at 2-2, which is very important on England's behalf. So they're coming back strong against the World Test Championship, the Test champions over here as well. So there aren't many important news stories for me really to talk about. I covered everything over this week already that really was big in the cricket world. So I'm going to start with you guys and your I'm going to start with the questions in the live from Instagram first and foremost. So I've got GOG from Instagram. I see you in the comments as well, bro. So welcome to the show. What are you looking forward to the most this upcoming season for Proteas and domestically? So, okay, so let me start with domestic first. In domestic cricket, I would like to see the players that performed last season, the newer guys, the ones that are maybe a little bit younger and on the fringes of that Proteas positions. I would like to see them step up. Now, there are a couple of players that I would like to see continue their form. For example, I would like to see um, Matthew Brzezinski continue his form and really put up his hand for a test spot. I would like to see Jordan Herman have another good season. I would like to see Stenislav Kashile from the Warriors now take his game to the next level. So those are some of the performances I'd really like to see. And I would also like to. I'm interested in also seeing the Lions this season to see what they can do. They have a very competitive squad over there, and I would like to see who puts up their hand and gets a regular selection in that team. It's a very talented squad. It's a very interesting squad, and it's something that I really am looking forward to actually see what they can do as a team, because when you have so many stars in a team, it's very difficult for you to get them to be for you to get them to embed into the side with ease. And especially you're going to be some players might get upset or might not be um, in a frame of mind, I would say, to continue doing what they're doing, because you're obviously not going to get that support from the you might see it as you're not getting the support from the coach if you're not selected. Now, a lot of big names have left and gone to the Lions. And if I look at the squads so far, now I'm still waiting on the Warriors squad. It hasn't been released as far as I know. But when you look at the Lions side, besides the Proteas players like Temba, um, besides the Proteas players like Temba Bavuma, Rassi van der Dussen, Riza Hendricks, Kagiso Rabada, Bjorn Fortuin, Sisanda Magala, Ryan Rickelton. They still have those experienced guys like Dominic Hendricks. They've got Vian Mulder in the team. Luta Sapamna, Junaid Dawood is now moved there. But they've added Zubair Hamza into the side as well, which is going to give a lot of competition to those Proteas players that may be bat in the top order. Tsepo Ndwandwe is there. Tsepo Moreki. Delano Potgieter is now going back to the Lions. We've got Joshua Richards still. Mitch van Buren's still there. Duan Olivier, Cody Yusuf, Evan Jones, Malusi Siboto, Connor Esterhazen. And then they've got high performance players like Wandile Makwetu going back to his home team. Cole Abrams, Marco van Bullion, and Mohamed Manak, Ronan Herman, and Kaba Peter. So that's the squad. So it's going to be a very competitive squad that's going over there. Another thing that I'm interested in is to see if the Hollywood Spets Dolphins can continue their form. Now, they also have a very talented side, but not everybody really stepped up that I would have hoped for. And I would like to see some of those guys that we know have talent like Marcus Ackerman um, also step up. Bryce Parsons, a big season for him. I would like to see if he can take his game to the next level. Grant Rulofsson as well. And let's see how Andile Pechlekwayo manages himself throughout the season. He hasn't necessarily been within Protea sides regularly, and it would be interesting to see how he takes his career to the next level. So I'm interested to see what they can do, particularly at other venues other than at Kingsmead. Comes to the Titans, generally speaking, always competitive, and they've also got a very, very good squad. But for the Titans, the one thing that I really, really want to see is Deva Brevis get an opportunity in 4-day cricket and 1-day cricket a lot more. I want to see him get more games. They have given out also a rookie contract to Matthew Boast, who's another young talent that I think is one for the future. So it's going to be interesting to see what they do over there. And particularly, I would like to see, obviously, Deva Brevis getting more opportunities in 4-day cricket with the Titans. When it comes to the Western Province squad, I would like to see more consistency from them. And I would like to see regular performances from the guys that performed last season, the likes of Tony DeZorzi and Calva Reina, particularly. They might be very important as players in the Proteas, maybe, perhaps. We don't know what's going to happen with the Proteas squad, and we also know with the SA20 happening, what is going to happen there. So it's interesting to see what's going to happen with the Western Province side. They're currently really struggling. There's a lot of things behind the scenes that's happening over there that is quite interesting, which I'm not really going to speak about right now. But yeah, the president has left, and they don't have a lot of Proteas in their side that are contracted. So when some of the players that leave to play with the Proteas, they do struggle when they lose their players like Tony DeZorzi, and they lose their players like um Calvarena. It does set them back a bit. But I would also like to see Michlali Mapungwana play a good season without injuries this season. And Andre Berger too. They've been injury struck throughout the season. And that's something that I would like to see change. David Bedingham also comes back into the side, and I would like to see him because he was out for injury last season, and I didn't get to see him play for Western Province. So I'm hoping to get to see him more this season. Another player that I'm looking out for is Juan James. I watched him play for SN19 in Bangladesh, and he was brilliant. I saw the talent in him and the confidence in him. So I would like to see him have another good season. And I hope that this is the season also that Daniel Smith steps up, and really takes charge and shows his ability, as well as John O'Bird with the injury-free team season. Then we got the GBETS Rocks. For GBEX Rocks, the main thing that I want to see from the GBEX Rocks is Yanaman Malan. I want to see him under a new coach, of course. I want to see him really step up and show his ability this time around. He didn't have the best of seasons last season, so I'd really like to see him come into his own. They've also got new signings that I'm interested in seeing, like Clinton Steerman and Keegan Peterson, that I would really like to see perform in new conditions. And obviously, it's going to be a lot harder for the guys likes of Clinton on that particular flat track to storm in and be consistent. So that's something that I'd also want to see. There's also Akona Mnyaka, who's another talented player that I'd also like to see improve and get to a different level. It's also the time now. Michael Copeland is now settled in, and he's a youngster that I'm interested to. I would like to see how he takes his game to the next level too. Then with the Northwest Dragons, we've interviewed the coach in the latest issue of Cricket Fanatics Magazine Monthly. So I'd like you guys to please go check that out. With their team, they've also got a couple of new additions. But for me, like for example, Rwanda Swat, I would like to see him become more of a main guy in this team. And Vian Lubber is another player, and he's now moved from the Warriors. So I would like to see how he performs in this particular side and how he takes his game to the next level, as well as Reinhard van Tonda. I hope he gets a lot of game time and he gets to show his ability. Ruben Herman is also another one that is an interesting player over there. With the Tusker squad, they're new and up and coming. I'm interested to see Grant Morgan and what he's going to do with his team, and how, from what his interview with us, which is embedded in the magazine as well as on this YouTube channel, we have an exclusive with the KZN Tuskers coach. I would like to see whether the things that he told me is going to come into fruition over there. It's going to be very interesting to see how they compete at the top level now that they're in Division One. So I'm looking forward to that. Obviously, Tando Ntini is going to be there now, so he swings the ball quite nicely. So I would like to see that in play, and we're also going to probably see some Cameron Dalput action, particularly probably in the white ball arena. So exciting to see. Yasin Vali as well, someone that was really good in the under 19 World Cup. If I think it's at Yasin. Um, Yes, it is. And that's someone that I'm looking forward to see as well, to see how he's going to take the challenge on at a new team, at the team like Kaiser in Tuskers in the big leagues. So, yeah, from a domestic season, that's kind of what I want to see. I just want to be able to go to as many games at Newlands as possible ultimately. And that's what I'm going to try to do there. Cool. So, another thing, I'm going to keep the second question on Instagram because it's more of a personal question for me. I'm going to keep that question for later. Let's get into the live chat and see what you guys have to say. Um, Tabo says, please let's talk about the World Cup qualifiers. I really enjoyed watching them. They were super competitive and nail biting. The South African born all rounder Brandon McCullen really impressed me. I'm going to be honest with you, Tabo. I didn't watch a lot of the qualifiers. I wasn't really interested in what was happening there. I saw little clips of like what happened to West Indies, etc. So I didn't really keep an eye on that. As you know, I keep a close eye on the Proteas and local cricket, and not so much on cricket that is not happening in South Africa. Like if it's big things like the Ashes, for example, and big series that are being played, like India versus Australia or India versus England, etc. Then I'll give it a watch and stay and keep an eye on those. But I didn't really watch the qualifiers, to be honest with you. Lodrick wants to know: SA20 will flop with Proteas players. Without Proteas players, non-Proteas batsmen struggled on this year SA20. But maybe perhaps this time around, those players will be able to step up. But at the moment, it doesn't look like those Proteas players are not going to be. It doesn't look like the Proteas players are going to be allowed to leave. From the show that we did yesterday, that was the consensus that we were getting. Amit says, saw Kesha's video of exercising and walking in water. Can he make a comeback before the World Cup? I did see him at the CSA Awards. I just got to say hi and ask him how he is, and he said he's doing well and his recovery is going. But I do think that there's going to be some time for him to come back. The World Cup is around the corner, but I think there's enough time for him to get himself ready and fit in the next couple of months to be ready for the World Cup. In from my opinion, but we need to ask Keshav himself. So I'm going to um, request an interview with Keshav to see where he's at and how he's feeling. And the West Indies down for the Ashes and the West Indies versus India Test series. Yeah, I spoke about the Ashes at the top of the show. There's big news, Khalid, on Nana to United. Yes, I know that's big news from a United perspective. I'm enjoying. I'm not actually enjoying this preseason so far from a club perspective. I'm watching all the preseason games, of course, and checking how our team is developing and how the fringe players are going to be doing, and the youngsters, of course. I always enjoy watching how the youngsters, which youngsters stand out and which ones are good. I think Onana is a great signing, and I think Mason Mount is a decent signing, but not a great signing, but he's a decent signing. I think that backup is nice for Bruno and for the rest. And the most irritated about the takeover not happening. So I would like to see United's owners, Glazers, leave. But yeah, let's move on from that. Amit says, Ngidi not making it to playing 11 in MLC. Seems he is not that good in the nets. He may be left out in the World Cup, making way for Magala. That is a possibility of happening. He also wasn't getting a lot of game time in the IPL either. So it is a bit concerning for me. I do think that Ngidi is a decent T20 and one day T20 player with his change up and his slower deliveries. But it doesn't seem that the Proteas are always backing him when everybody's fit and ready to be available. When you've got the likes of Andrich and you've got the likes of KG in your team, and then you want to have those all-rounders in that 7-8 positions, it makes it difficult for someone to Lungi to fit in, especially when you're going to play one or two spinners. Thoughts on the MCC's proposal to the ICC? where they propose for the amount of bilateral ODI series to be clamped down leading up to the 27 World Cup. In my opinion, T20Is should take the knock when push comes to shove. 100% agree. I think the T20 format is the lesser of the formats. For me, I enjoy ODIs and tests more. Maybe I'm old school, but I think that we don't need five, six T20s in a series. I know we only play like three. Um, but I think one or two test the T20s is okay because mainly it's for entertainment. In my opinion, the only time we really take those T20 seriously is when it's a World Cup and then we're playing a T20 World Cup or it's domestic T20 competitions. So I do think that it's the T20s that need to be clamped down. We see some series where there are five T20s being played. I don't think that's necessarily. I don't think that's necessary. But I think that why countries do that is because the return on investment is a lot better when it comes to organizing a T20. It's 4 hours. You don't need to have massive amount of days between each game, and and the amount of money you bring in, you almost guarantee that it's going to be sold out. So, from a monetary value perspective for a country, T20 cricket's obviously going to be more. You're going to obviously get a lot more money in a shorter period of time if you compare T20 to ODI. In Test cricket, obviously, it's over 5 days. You're going to get people coming to the stadium for 5 days in a row. So you can make a lot more money because you're going to get more days in cricket. It all will add up. But if you're comparing ODIs to T20 cricket, ODI games don't always sell out. It depends on who they're playing against, who the team is playing against. And also, with South Africa at the moment, our ODI cricket is not always played at the biggest grounds. We've kind of tried to give other smaller grounds opportunities to host games when it comes to T20 ODI cricket. So, like Borland Park will get a game, and Buffalo Park will get a game. Maybe sometimes Benoni gets a game. So, when it comes to ODI cricket, that's what tends to happen. Whereas T20 games, generally, Wanderers, Centurion, Newlands seems to be the main spots for those games. And majority of the time, I've hardly ever been to a T20 game when it hasn't been almost sold out or nearly sold out. Any updates on the shirt sponsor? Don't have any updates for you on that. Tabo says, I'm worried about Lungingidi. He's not going to the World Cup at this rate. I saw the USA T20 League, and I'm surprised to see the number of South Africans playing there. Bigger player drain than Kolpak. Dane Pitt, Camilo Roux, Andries Gous, Cody Chetty, David White, Calvin Savage. Yeah, it is a massive amount of players that are playing in that league. You're right. Um, but if you look at those players, not all of them were getting regular game time in Division One. So it does make it a bit tricky for them, especially a lot of them are towards the end of the end of their careers. There's a lot of guys here over here that have been replaced by younger players. So making a move abroad kind of makes sense in that manner. So I don't think that we can compare it to Kolpak. It's a little bit different because Kolpak was a Kolpak was a problem when it was taking away players that could possibly play for the Proteas. I think that's what irritated me personally the most. It was when players were doing well for the country and then they took a contract like Riley, like Cal Abbott, um, and who else can I think about that? Simon Harmer was another option, another guy. But they're now all back because Kolpak doesn't exist anymore, so it's changing now. Lauren says, must say it's been a tough few months for Lungi, and I'm kind of worried. He dropped from the test side, didn't play much at the T20 World Cup, never got a game at the IPL, and now MLC, his form ain't the best. Also, yes, I'm worried about Lungi as well. Particularly, I don't know how he's feeling mentally as well. It can be very difficult for players when they go through these situations of not getting picked and not getting played. Um, Tabo Gama says Cody Chetty was a very talented batsman for the Dolphins. We lost a talented player, says Tabo. Hey Khalid, how are you? Haven't been on the live show for a good 3 months. Missed these shows. How's it, DT? Good to see you again. I thought I thought you stopped doing daily shows when I saw you hadn't gone live in weeks. Yeah, bro. My laptop broke. What a dumb reason, but yeah, my laptop broke. I had to take it into Apple, and they told me they couldn't fix it, so I had to take it to a guy that I know in the area, and he still hasn't fixed it. Actually, I've actually using a backup laptop at the moment because I needed to go live again. I was missing you guys, so I'm hoping that my laptop does get fixed and comes back soon to me. That's been a while since this is I've been a long time without it and I'm missing it. So yeah, that's the reason why I was trying to get it fixed, and I had to do a whole lot of things to this computer that I'm using now to be able to allow it to be go live with it. So it took me some time because every time I thought I was going to get the computer back, then I didn't hear from the company, and when I went to the company and I got the story that no, then I took it to the new guy and he said, no, you'll be done in a couple of days. Then it took a week and now it's 2 weeks. So I'm still waiting. He did tell me it's going to be an extra week because he had to order some parts. So I'm waiting for him to get back to me to let me know when I can come pick it up. Um, so hopefully this weekend or on Monday. I'm crossing fingers. So cross fingers, guys, and hope that I can get it fixed. Otherwise, you guys must become a Patreon right now or give me some super chat so I can go buy me a new laptop. um, let's move on. Lorenzo, Khalid, any news on whether the 6-5 rule is still a thing for the new season? If it's still in place, then once again, guys like Stubbs and Brevis will again struggle to make the 4-day 11s. Um, you're talking about, okay, you're talking about domestic cricket. From what I know, it still is in place. Um, so Stubbs and Brevis. Um, I don't think Stubbs will struggle to get into the team. To be honest, he made it quite comfortably last season into the team. Um, I think they do have enough players of color in decent positions over there, if I'm not mistaken. I don't think they will drop him from a 4-day from a 4-day team. He was one of the best players last season, and also remember, Vian Lubbe has left them, so there is a spot opening in their lineup. Um, so yeah, I don't think it will be a problem. Uh, I don't think we have new title sponsors yet, Dex. You think maybe when someone in the live chat knows? Um, I know that Momentum obviously sponsors the women's team. You think that Shalina Mutasami can be in the World Cup squad? Can bat at number 7 and be a second spinner in playing 11? I don't think in the ODI team that he will be selected. I think his focus at the moment would be probably for Test cricket. Um, the reason I'm saying that is because I think that the ODI team is looking for a big hitting number 7, and Senaran is not that. I see Senaran as a type of number 7 or the type of batter that needs to bat a little higher up. You can bat 7 at test team because you're probably always going to bat the same way. You're not necessarily going to, at this stage, take people on, although I know perhaps the coach would like to have those type of players available to them that can bat with a high strike rate in test cricket and take the game on and take the game away from the opposition. But when it comes to Senaran, I think that they were looking at something else. They were looking possibly at a Teva Brevis as a future a possibility. Someone that that is a big hitter that can hit the ball a long way, and also Tristan Stubbs they were looking at with some bowling action as well to give a couple of overs because we've got some decent all-rounders that bowl well. So we just need a batting type of all-rounder that can really bat positively at a high strike rate. So I don't think Senaran fits into that category, to be honest, Amit. I miss some Standard Bank Momentum, Samsung, RAM, and hand-to-hand couriers and Sunfoil. Yeah, me too. I just want Dylan Makwete, high performer. He averages 23 in first class and 26 in list A. A high performance contract doesn't necessarily mean a high performer. It means a high performance contract means that they are next in line and part of the high performance national academy. Um, that is what he's. That is what it is. I don't know what to say to you about that. Um, it is what it is. Sunful was the best sponsor in Test cricket, says Tabo Gama. Okay, you've already mentioned that, Ashka. I'm going to read it out again. John Smith says, any thoughts on Slade Van Staden, 20-year-old, played for the Dolphins, USA eligible, called to the MLC to play for MI New York. Interesting one. Maybe I should get him on the show and actually ask him where his head is at. With all due respect, but none of those players were ever good enough to push the current players we have. Maybe Dane Pitt, yes, I mentioned that. Maybe Dane Pitt, but definitely not the rest. Yeah, that's what I mentioned earlier on. I said those players were coming towards the end of their careers and they weren't necessarily always starters in the 11, to be honest with you. Um, so we don't really need to look into that, I think, because the youngsters coming through are extremely talented. We shouldn't sleep on the talent that we have in this country. I think a lot of the youngsters in this country are really, really that they have the talent. They just need to focus on their games and start getting that momentum in their teams. Khalid, I feel like there are more T20Is organized because more casual fans watch it. More hardcore fans like you and those on Twitter are only folks that watch more tests and ODI. And that's true, bro. And also, what happens is that it brings in more money, I think, because of the amount of stadiums that they fill up when it comes to T20 cricket. They're looking at the casual fan that just wants the entertainment, have a fun time, etc. And that's why I think people are obviously pushing to T20. But also, there's monetary value involved. The only reason why they will do so is if there's money coming in. If there wasn't, they wouldn't be doing it. Tabo says, I'm 22 years old and T20 cricket is not my favorite format. They should bring a 5 or 7 match ODI series and the return of the ODI try series. Our last try ODI series was in 2016. John Smith says, is Kagiso spaced down? Used to bowl 145, 150 a few years ago. Now barely bowls 140. We've spoken about it on the show before, actually. We've mentioned that we've noticed that too. I'm not really sure what is up with that. I don't know if it's because he's added slower deliveries into his game or he was just over bowled um, and never had much rest and he was just fatigued. But it does seem to be the case. But sometimes in the IPL, it does seem that he has his pace back. But he isn't necessarily bowling at 145, 150s anymore. Like you said, he's bowling a high low 140s and sometimes high 130s. Okay, low 140s more regularly. So it does seem like his pace has deteriorated. But let's see the season. After he's had a nice rest this time around, let's see how he does in the new season. Do you think Brevis is more suited to middle order or opening? Hasn't performed yet in the MLC or SA20 as an opener. It's an interesting question. In T20 cricket, are you talking about? Obviously. So in T20 cricket, I do think so. I think that we are putting a hell of a lot of pressure on a youngster coming into that's only barely been on the cricket international scene. He's barely been on the domestic scene. There's still parts of his game that he needs to improve, but I think he needs to play where he feels comfortable. I mean, there's always you always want to feel um, tempted into maybe protecting him, and maybe batting him a little lower and allow him just to play his game freely. But I think he needs to play more domestic cricket for South Africa and get a lot more cricket under his belt when it comes to the longer format, more time out at the crease, because he's traveling a lot and he's going around the world and he's playing in different leagues, but he's not getting a lot of time at the crease in the middle. That's the problem. Because I think he needs a chance to actually bat the entire day under those pressures and really start to find himself and his own technique and find his own game. Um, so that's something that I would like to see with Theobald is that development happen. So I hope the Titans will play more when it comes to the new season. Now it's going to be very difficult because the Titans have a very talented team. I've read out the squad early on, so it's going to be difficult for him to break through and into that side. So we'll have to wait and see what happens with that. But yeah, as an opener right now is obviously a lot of opening the batting in any format is always one of the hardest formats to play in, and one of the hardest positions to play. Our death bowling isn't Rabada and Giri, both aren't good at death bowling. I can't understand why they don't try Yorker. They only bowl short balls. Yeah, but that's a weird one. I don't know if that's got to do with the coach, with the bowling coach's instructions or the coach's instructions. Because when I watch KG play in the IPL, he bowls Yorkers. Same with Andrich Nokia. So I don't know if that is a strategy, or is that, or it is because they can't, you know? So, yeah, that's a good question, or good statement, sorry. Are you following the Zim Afro T10? Nope. May organize matches in South Africa in the future. It's another form. I'm not a big fan of the shorter format, to be honest with you. Um, it's now T10 is even shorter, so that makes it even more irritating for me. I'm already not such a big fan of T20 cricket and T20 tournaments, so I've never watched a T10 game in my life, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie. Um, I'm not a big fan of that type of format. Um, yeah, I don't know what else to say about that, to be honest with you. I saw some clips of Matthew Brzezinski batting there and apparently doing quite well, I think, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, the T10 format doesn't entice me at all. Will the revenue earned from the SA20 will be used to improve cricket and grassroots, or will it help in giving fat salaries to the administrators in CSA? Um, while the promises were that some of that money will go back into development of stadiums and other things. So that was the what Graham Smith spoke about in some of his interviews and in some of his press conferences, that this is supposed to um, help our development as well in the country. But yeah, that doesn't. We'll have to wait and see after year two. DT, fingers crossed on the T20 popularity point. I think that generally we can see how form content has become popular, meaning people's attention span has decreased. And in sport, there's you continue the constant craving for action. So unless ICC adds things to the game that makes more attractive for these types of people, longer formats might die out because they're no longer feasible even for the big um, players, I think you meant, or the big, wait, sorry, big countries, sorry. Unlike the facts that the CSA got Rock Nation aboard to deal with the problem. But overall, I think ICC should adapt Linity Media's approach to F1. I don't actually know. I don't watch F1. Don't hate me for that. Don't unsubscribe for that. I don't watch F1. um, yeah, DT. It's an interesting point that you have there, and it's true. People do have short attention spans these days. I mean, we live in a TikTok generation where people only want to watch 30-second videos. That's why I'm so thankful for you guys that you sit here and on a live stream that's an hour long every single day with me and give me that respect actually. So I'm very thankful for all of you guys that stay with me and stayed with me for so long and watch all these videos, because it's very difficult to find that. But I thought always that in cricket, that we kind of used to it. Most cricket fans are not do generally have longer attention spans because we're so used to games lasting 5 days or from before. Now they last 4 days, and watching one day cricket. So I think cricket fans are a little bit different. But for the general public, and you have to also market cricket to the general public if you want it to grow. So a way to attract new fans and new players is to give them the shorter format. But the T10, that's really for the TikTok generation. Who will be the spinners for the World Cup? Surely three must go to India. For me, it's Shamji, Linda, and Bjorn Fortuyn. Um, who will be my spinners? Shamji, Linda, and Bjorn Fortuyn. I think it would be Shamsi, Bjorn, and Keshav, to be honest with you. And this is not because I don't like Linda or anything. It's because I don't think they want to pick Linda, because he hasn't necessarily been in teams or is A teams either. And I know he was playing in county cricket, but from the last time we spoke to him on the channel, Lorenzo, it didn't seem like he was like, I know you were live watching the show and asked him a couple of questions, and it didn't seem like he was getting any contact from CSA with regards to his position in South African cricket so far. So for me, it will probably be Shamsi, Keshaf, and Bjorn. But it's possible, perhaps possible, that we might see one of those spinning batters like Tristan Stubbs and Deva Brevis get an opportunity. There might be wild cards or dark horse, wild cards that might be thrown into the mix. Who do you think will be picked up as rookie players in the SA20 this year? Interesting, interesting, interesting. I have to look at it. I think Kwena Mapaka will be. He might be someone that gets picked up. I think that the South African under 19 captain, I think he's another one that could possibly be picked up. What is the age actually of the rookie players? What's the cutoff age? I can't remember the cutoff age. But I think Juan James is someone that has showed me some big hitting capabilities as well. I'm just thinking of the under 19 team over here. Amit says, you think Brevis and Markram can combine bowl 11, 12 overs in World Cup? Do they even need to? Is the question. I don't think they need to bowl 11, 12 overs. If we're playing two all-rounders, for example, if you're playing an all-rounder at 7, 8, and then you have a big hitting batter at 6, probably Klaasen. So 7, 8 if you have two all-rounders. 9, 10, 11, 12, 9, 10, 11. Yeah. Um, they'll probably only have to bowl like 5 each, though. Or perhaps Aiden can bowl a little more, and Dewald has to bowl a little less. So maybe Aiden can take 8, and then Dewald only takes 2, something like that. Especially if we're gonna have, obviously, but that's only if Dewald's gonna bat. If he bats at 7, yeah, that's the problem. He's gonna have to bowl a full 5, and then Aiden will have to bowl a full 5. Is my maths correct, guys? No, they don't have to bowl. They don't have to bowl a full quota of 11, 12 combined. They just have to make up extra overs that were bowled, because Aiden will bat obviously in the middle order, and then you have a 7 and 8. So if Dewald at 7, so you have 8, 9, 10, 11. So that's 40 overs, and then they just have to split up the other 5, the other 10. So between the two of them. So I think Aiden can bowl like 8 overs. DT countries, unlike the fact that CSA, I did this already. Sorry, my bad. Oh, it was multiple parts to the question or to the statement. Former Proteas under 19 team, Foxcraft selected in New Zealand. I don't really care, to be honest with you, how many SA born players are playing overseas, bro. Doesn't really matter. I want to focus on the players that are currently in this in the setup. If they choose to go do that, they can do that. I just hope KG rest up enough for the ODI World Cup. The guys looks always depleted at the ICC events for us. KG and Quinton Cock are very underwhelming for us in ICC events. They do need some rest, but they're playing in so many games. We haven't lost another. I don't think we make it seem like these players were massive stars within South African cricket before they left. Like, not a lot of people actually were talking about Foxcraft in South African cricket before he left. So, yeah. The government also approved with funding towards upgrading our stadiums, the 2027 World Cup. Thank you for that, Lorenzo. I think T20 gets a bad name. It has done more for the game than any other format. More countries are playing, more money in the game. Women's cricket has been helped by T20. T20 is good for cricket. It is good for cricket, but when it starts getting in the way of the other formats is where the problem lies. Where it takes preference over other formats, that's what we have an issue with. T20 can coexist with the rest. We don't have to overcompensate with T20 because there's a place for both for all three formats, but we don't have to overcompensate with it. There's too many local leagues, and that's I think I have an issue with. It's not T20 cricket itself that I have an issue with. It's more the T20 local leagues, the amount of them. There's one in Canada, there's one in the US now, there's one in the Caribbean. There's one in Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Pakistan, and India, Australia, England. Almost every single country has their own T20 league, and now there's a T10 league, two T10 leagues around. One in Abu Dhabi and one in I think it's Abu Dhabi and one in now in Zimbabwe. So there's so many short formats that's the problem. That's destroying the game because now we have a situation like with this SA20 where our protest players probably won't be available to play in a test World Test Championship series in New Zealand. That's what irritates me. He did say he had a good conversation with Rob, though. Yes, he did say he had a good conversation with Rob. So I'm hoping that there's some positives there, but it's weird that he didn't go on the SAA tour. And I know he was with the county teams, so perhaps that's the reason. But if Rob does back him, we will have to see in Australia whether he picks him in that squad. Keshav on fit, be fit in time. Our World Cup squad must be submitted by September 5th. It's 2 months or a month before the first ODI versus Australia. Okay. Well, if it's not him, then George Linder. That's the only other option for me. Um, yeah. If you are right about three spinners, that means only option batting at number 7 is Marco Jansen because I don't expect Brewer Stubbs to bowl more than 3 overs. Yeah. I think they can get. I think they can get 5 under the belt. I can think they can get 4 under the belt. But even if they bowl 3 overs, then that just means Aiden has to bowl 7. I don't see a problem in that. Carl Simmons is another underrated spinner who could be given a try. He can bat a bit as well. He needs a very good season this season again. He needs to back it up. I know this is a wild card, but I wonder if it would be a good idea for SA20 teams to have a mandate or program that requires to select one player each from the university sides. Maybe then the rookie requirements they have now, we can have more opportunities for up and coming players, like in a draft in a way. It's an interesting concept. Luis Deploy said he's available for both England and South Africa, like Bellingham. CSI could call him in time. He's the highest run scorer, County Division 2, and was awarded with captaincy for the performance. While Luis Deploy, last year at the SA20, his name was written down with England next to it. So I think he's qualified to be able to play for England. And I don't think South Africa is going to pick him, to be honest. Considering availability problem for New Zealand, he is perfect. Um, Since Ray Jennings left the under 19 team in 2014 with a World Cup win, it's been terrible. Need better coaches. Pay the coaches, you don't blame the player for. The player must take accountability for going to better place and to a better country and to leaving. And he's supposed to be supposedly so talented to leave the country and then he performs poorly. Then it's the coach's fault. But when they go away, when the players leave, when the players leave to go play in other countries to look for better opportunities, then it's South Africa's fault. So we can't win with that one, eh? Lorenzo Bailey, I've suggested don't play any T20Is. I have a suggestion: don't play any T20Is. You can still have a T20 World Cup, but then you can select T20 players who play in the various leagues. That's how windows can be opened up for other formats. That's fair. Or yeah, That's a fair option. That's a fair idea. Or they can just play less T20s. Um, but if that's the case, then every country that has a league needs to make sure that those leagues are not trading, taking all the monies for their owners and themselves, but rather investing that money back into the country again. Then that makes sense because South Africa does make a lot of money from the T20I format. Okay, so the last question is coming from Instagram. Um, it's from Craig. What was your most memorable moment as a player? Okay, so that's me personally as a player when I played cricket back in high school, probably. Yeah, I didn't play club cricket. I just played for my schools. Um, and I didn't do it like at a high level because I didn't, well, they stuffed me around in grade 8 and 9 for cricket, and then grade 10, no, so sorry, for grade 8 in the first term for cricket. And then I actually got into the school for water polo, and then the water polo coaches recruited me, and I played B team water polo, straight C and C team. So they put me straight into the potential to be able to play maybe possibly A team, and then I played like B's and B team in the end of grade 8 in water polo and C team. So they played me in both teams, and then I only played and then I played water polo grade 9 again. And then I went on to play cricket again in grade 10 because I was over water polo. And then I started playing in grade 10 again just for the fun of it. I didn't really necessarily take it seriously. So I played like fourth team. I didn't really play it for, because my main focus was on judo because I was SA judo and Western Province judo. So my main focus was on trying to get into the Olympic side and Africa Cup of Nations sides. That was my aim because I was ranked number one in the country, so that was a serious aim for me to try and fight in the Olympics. And then I had a serious knee injury where my kneecap dislocated, and more than one occasion, and I had to stop. The doctors and told me that I need to go for surgery, and I haven't gone for surgery still, but they've told me I need to go for surgery and maybe change my signature move, and all of that was going to take a long time for me to get back into judo, and I might never ever be the same again. That's what I was told. So yeah, it was a bit of a crap one, but I played fourth because I couldn't play first. I couldn't take the time and effort to practice cricket as like I wanted to, um, and really focus on it because of the amount of time I had doing judo. And at the time, also when I tried through high school, I was also province swimming and trying to get into the SA team for swimming as well at the time. So that took majority. That was 6 hours out of my day. 3 hours swimming practice, 2 hours or 5 hours out of my day. 2 hours judo practice, 3 hours swimming practice every single day. So it was very tough. Okay, well, judo was twice a week, and then on the weekend we had competition. So, and then on the weekend we had swimming competitions as well. So I had to do both, and yeah, it was a lot. It was tough. It was tough to also concentrate on cricket because you need to obviously take the entire day. Um, you need to take the entire day to practice cricket if you really want to be good at it. So my best memory probably in cricket was um, when I would say there was two moments that really stood out to me. It was in my last year at primary school. Um, I played a match, and to be honest with you, I can't remember the school we played against, but I was at St. George's Grammar, which wasn't necessarily the best of sporting schools, and I scored an 86 in a match, uh, trying to win a game, and we were bowled out for 89. so so yeah, it was a interesting one. And then another one is in fourth year we played against Wamburg boys, I think it was, when I was at Rondebosch. And on my birthday I took a hat trick and I scored a 50 on my birthday and took a great catch. So it was interesting time. But yeah, I didn't really take cricket seriously, to be honest, as a player, because I just simply didn't have the time to focus on it. Um, we don't have any all-rounders in South Africa. What would we do with Mulder? I suggest CSA to bring back Brandon McCallum from Scotland, says Tabo. I don't think we have need for that. We've got a lot of talented all-rounders currently in the system. You watch UFC? Yes, I do watch UFC. When I can watch UFC, I do my best to try. I was always a big Conor McGregor fan, Ronda Rousey, and Brock Lesnar. I like Brock Lesnar from WWE to be honest. So I was a big fan of them. But I like Easy a lot. I do. Um, so you've asked me that actually Turkus or Easy. It's a tough one because I'm a big Easy fan, right? Because of all the Naruto stuff. But I'm South African first, so I'm gonna go for. I want. Yo, bro, I'm gonna be controversial here, and I'm gonna say Easy. Um, I want Rikus to do well though. Um, no, no, no. I'm South African. I have to support Rikus. I won't be upset if Easy wins. But I want South African to put us the way he stood up for himself in the ring. When Easy came into the ring and was talking smack, I respected Rikus. I watched Rikus's first fight in the UFC, so I was up early to watch it. So I've been watching him quite closely and watching some of his fights. So he's South African, so I have to support Rikus. Although I wouldn't be so upset because Easy was my favorite currently before before Drikas came into this. Like before, I have to support the South African. I know I'm rambling here, but to be honest with you, who would you support, by the way? But yeah, because he's South African, I'm gonna have to go with the South African. In Asia, they have emerging cup and under 19 cup, while SA get only a handful of matches for A side and under 19. Money spent there isn't wasted. CSA are recovering the losses, so why not more unofficial cricket? They are trying to do that. I want the Trickers to smash him. I lost respect for Easy after his in-ring antics. Going back to Ahmed. Yeah, you see that. Are you talking about the in-ring acting after Trickers won recently? Um, yeah, I think that's just all showbiz, and that's it's to promote the fight ultimately. I don't think, but I'll go for Trickers because he's South African. But yeah, I think a lot of these things that happen between these MMA fighters is a lot of showbiz and yeah, clout and to hype the fight and promote the fight. And I don't read too much into it really. Ahmed, to answer your question quickly, there is talk about us bringing back the 3-day unofficial games for the S under 19s, the 3-day cup, and there has been talks about giving them under 19s more tours. But currently, the under 19s get opportunities to play in the knockout competition, and as well they do get chances to play in some domestic games for South Africa in the domestic season as well. I don't like the path that Izzy and Trickers are taking. Yeah, like this whole fight from between two African people, basically, because South Africa and Nigeria, like it's I don't. It's bad taste in my mouth. I would have preferred it if they went with it would but MMA is not a nice sport, guys. You need a bad guy and a good guy. It's just makes it's for better TV. But it would have been nice to see them both just say, "Look here, we're gonna give it our all. We both respect each other. We both African brothers. Um, let's go and do this." I didn't see. Did Rikus talk smack first? Um, did Rikus talk smack first, or did Easy talk smacks first? How did the whole situation actually get to what happened when they got into the ring and started arguing on the weekend? Because I didn't follow that so heavily. I mean, I watched Easy's last fight, and then all of a sudden I saw that because I didn't watch all of Rikus's fights. I watched his first fight, and then I didn't watch his other three. or his other two. I watched his, no, sorry, his other three, two. No, his other two. I watched his fourth one. So, um, yeah. So was him coming into the ring, Ahmed? Was him coming into the ring now in Dricus's last fight the starting point of that, or did it happen before that? That's what I'm asking. Yeah, Dricus said he doesn't want to sell tickets. Like I wouldn't expect him to. He's South African. I mean, I would like them to do this like with respect, man. Have a great fight, man. Um, like have a decent fight and yeah, like have a good, respectful fight. You don't have to make it all like hype and stuff. Um, another play. I'm trying to um think of some um another fighter that I like a lot as well um is Justin Gaethje or Gaethje. How do you pronounce it? Gaethje. I like him a lot. Um, I like his fighting style. He looks good. Um, I enjoy watching his fights as well. Okay, here we go. Drika said he fights at. Drika just said he fights out of Africa, and he will take the belts back to Africa. Izzy took it serious, but Izzy fight out of in New Zealand, so Dricus wasn't wrong. Yeah, fights out of okay, yeah, fights out of yeah. I know, I saw that. I saw the altercation. Is that the whole thing? So yeah, Dricus wasn't wrong at all. He fights out of New Zealand, but I know that Izzy does go back to his home country and does a lot of things with the poor, etc., to give back to that country as well. From what I've seen from his out there, hopefully tickets will inspire more South Africans. No, not Dustin Poirier. I like Justin Gaethje or Gaethje. I don't know how you pronounce it. Gaethje, Gaethje. It's Gaethje. Yeah. I'm a. I like his fighting style and the way he fights. I was a big Ronda fan. The reason I liked Ronda so much back in the days because Ronda did judo, and I like the judo players. So she used judo a lot. So obviously I'm gonna be biased to that. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I really enjoyed this Q&A session. We should do this more often. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Um, I need you guys to please do one thing for me: subscribe to the channel, click the notification bell for all future video. But also, I would like you guys to please subscribe to the magazine. It's 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. Please go ahead and subscribe now. You'll get access to the new issue as soon as it's published, which is at the end of this month. I saw a couple of more comments here before I leave. I just want to read them out. I don't want to leave anything. Um, Whatever Dicker said was a consequence of Izzy's provocation. Definitely. McGregor is the legend, though. I love McGregor. Although Khabib, that fight really disappointed me. Uh, it was a little bit disappointing. I think Connor lost his focus a bit, though. Um, yeah, unfortunately, downfall wasn't that great. But yeah, I was a big McGregor fan. I used to really enjoy watching him fight. I used to watch all his fights. Um, Ahmed says Khabib is the best. Very good wrestler on the ground. Strong as well with his hands, but once you go to ground with Khabib, it's over. Um, anyway, guys, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you guys again very on Monday with another daily show. Thank you so much for joining in and asking me so many questions. It really makes the show exciting. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of your evening and the weekend, and I'll see you guys again very, very soon. Peace out, everyone.